This is a roll of Kodak Vision 3 500T, and even though I've only shot 2 rolls of it, it's quickly becoming my favorite film stock. Now next to it, I have a slightly water damaged, well actually a very water damaged roll of Kodak Vision 3 250D. The film itself is fine, but a little bit of water obviously got on the outside of the container. And while I don't like it as much as I like Vision 3 500T, this is still an absolutely amazing film stock. Yeah. It's like advanced 1 with the silver lever. Advance it. Turn it, exactly. So this video is going to serve as, my review of the Vision 3 film stocks that I've used, which is just 250D and 500T. But it's really going to be about me gushing about how good these film stocks are, because there really aren't any cons. I have one con, and I'll talk about that first, but yeah, these film stocks are so freaking good. So with that being said, let me get into the singular con that I have. And I think the only real con that exists with this film stock is the chemical process that it uses. Normal color film uses a process called C41. However, since this is a cinema film, it uses a slightly different chemical process called ECN2. Now, you can still develop this film in C41 chemicals, but I think, to my knowledge, that is considered cross-processing the film, and you won't get the best or the truest results that are intended out of these film stocks unless you use the native chemical process, which is ECN2. And the reason why I list this as a con is because it can be difficult to find a place that actually develops ECN2 film, because you can't just send this film stock to a regular lab. You can sort of see on the outside the remjet layer is sort of falling off. And if you don't know what the remjet layer is, it basically protects the film from static electricity charges. But that means that it has to be removed before you can actually develop it. And that's the reason why this film can't be sent off to any normal lab. And that's because the remjet layer will come off as this black goop that can destroy machines. And if you develop film at your house, you need to make sure you remove it, because if you don't, it can also ruin your chemicals. I send all of my film to a lab called Studio V. They do an amazing job, and they develop with the proper ECN2 film chemicals. And that, like I mentioned, is the only con, and now I want to talk about the many pros that these film stocks have. As I mentioned before, 500T is quickly becoming my favorite film stock I've ever used. The colors from the film stock are absolutely amazing, and it's just such a versatile film. As you've seen from some of these images, a lot of them were shot during the day, and then some of them were shot inside. But it doesn't matter, the film converts so well, and I initially thought that my images would be really blue when shooting them outside, but that's just not the case at all. And that's the reason why I say the film stock feels so versatile, is because it converts so well, and you can get beautiful colors outside, and then as soon as you go inside under tungsten balanced light, the film performs the way that you would expect a tungsten balanced film to perform under tungsten balanced light. It just looks incredible. It's a 500 speed film, so you might expect it to have slightly more noticeable grain, but that's just not the case. The film grain is really fine. I did a shoot recently where I shot a bunch of portraits of my buddy. I shot all of those on medium format film. I rented an RB67, and they were all shot on Portra 400. That video I think was 2 videos ago. It was called The Best Portraits I've Ever Taken. And during that photo shoot, not only did I shoot on 120 film, but I also shot with the Canon P with Vision 3 loaded inside of it. However, in that video, I didn't show any of the Vision 3 photos, and that's because when I was making that video, the film was still at the lab waiting on the chemicals, because there was a delay with the chemicals. But I'm showing all those images now in this video, and if I'm being honest, as much as I loved the images that I shot on 120 film using Portra 400, I just think the images that I took on 500T with the Canon P just look better. I'm more proud of the images that I shot with that combo than I did on a 120 camera, and it feels like the images are more truthful. I mean, that might sound sappy, but using this setup, I would just capture things that interested me. With the 120 film camera, everything was a lot more posed, whereas with this, if I just saw something that looked cool, I would tweak my settings, wind the camera, take a picture. And I might take a couple pictures in the same area, but like I mentioned, those images just felt a lot more truthful, and they're by far some of my favorite portraits I've ever taken. And the fact that I was able to get that good of results using 35mm film was crazy, because up until recently I haven't really been drawn towards 35mm film, but I mean, I kind of believe now. I'm a believer in 35mm film and Vision 3 500T. And the next thing that I'm going to talk about is probably the singular reason why I can recommend this film stock over anything else, or at least why I would recommend everyone at least try to shoot this film stock, and that is the price. Let me just make sure I'm not saying something wrong. Going to eBay, okay, I spent $27 on a 3-pack of Kodak Vision 3 500T, and that's $27 shipped to my house. That's after shipping, that's after taxes, and obviously buying the film, $27. That's $9 a roll. And the other thing I want to talk about is they're all bulk loaded, and the sellers aren't going to want to give you less than 36 images, so they try to give you a little bit more. In the shoot that I did recently with the Canon P and 500T, I got 42 images out of one roll of film. That's insane. 42 pictures from one roll of film, and I paid $9 for it. And the lab that I send my film to doesn't charge any extra money. It's you pay the same amount of money to develop ECN2 film as you would C41 film. And so I don't see the reason to not shoot this film. The value proposition is just so high. In my opinion, the results are better than any other film stock that I've used. And that's it. I feel like that's the only thing I really have to say. The price and the value are second to none in my humble opinion. And I know I'm kind of talking mostly about 500T. I obviously love 250D, and I think the images look great. It's just I've more recently shot 500T in the last photo shoot that I did. I used 500T, and I'm really proud of those images. But in this video, I've shown a bunch of examples that I've shot on both film stocks, and I think 250D looks amazing as well. Pretty much everything that I mentioned about 500T can also be, said about 250D. However, I haven't shot 250D in tungsten balanced light, so I don't know how it really responds in that way. I can imagine it does well. Does it do as good of a job as 500T? I would say no. I would doubt that, but it's still an absolutely amazing film stock. Now, will 250D or 500T replace the film that I currently use? I think the honest answer is no. As much as I love these film stocks, I still really enjoy the film that I use, or the film stocks that I use in this camera, and that's Fuji 400 and XP2, Ilford XP2. And why do I say no? Do I think Fuji 400 is better than Vision 3? No, I really don't think it is. I think Vision 3, either one of these film stocks, but mostly 500T. I think 500T is just better than Fuji 400 in every way, honestly. And who knows, maybe sometime in the future I'll switch over, but I just have a lot of Fuji 400, so I'm going to continue shooting that. In my mind, I kind of want to treat Vision 3 as almost like a fancy wine or a fancy champagne. I don't really drink much, so I don't know where this analogy is going. But I kind of want to just use them on special occasions, or for special occasions. If I'm doing a photo shoot, use them. Or, if I'm going out with the intention to try to take cool and fun photos, I'll use them. But if it's just daily stuff, I'm still really happy with Fuji 400 and Ilford XP2. And this is where I'm going to start wrapping up the video. If I haven't convinced you to try out this film stock, I don't know what will. The results are amazing. It's really affordable, and it's convenient to buy. I've bought all of my film on eBay. Just look up Vision 3 250D or Vision 3 500T, and you'll find plenty of results. And again, $27 for a 3-pack of this is just absurd. If you are interested in seeing more of my work, I'll leave a link to my Instagram as well as my website and my email all in the description below. If you guys like this video, please consider leaving a like or subscribing to the channel. It does help me out a lot. I've been posting really consistently, and I have a lot of videos planned going into the future. So if you do subscribe, you won't miss out when those videos go live. Thank you again for watching this video. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.